Tony Caridi, voice of West Virginia Athletics. Great to have you on. Tony, there's an article today in the ESPN, I think it was from today or yesterday, for Rich Rodriguez in West Virginia is second time a charm. Does it feel that way? We won't know till wins and losses, results and scores, but is that kind of the feeling in Morgantown?
Rich has always been charming, David. There's no question about that. This is going to be super interesting. This is going to be a lot of fun. When you just take a look at the big picture, and you guys follow this and have through the years, when Rich left here 17 years ago, to say that it was a very, very ugly divorce would be an understatement. And the mere fact that he is back is just kind of a wow. And I've told him that. I've said, you know, Rich, sometimes I'm driving down around and I'm just kind of running thoughts through my mind. And the fact that you're back here makes me just say, like, wow, it's amazing. But this is what he does. I think it's the perfect time for him. Rich, and for this program, Rich just exudes a great deal of energy, and he is nonstop. And he's successful, and he's coached at every different level through his career, in almost every single league now he's been involved with in some capacity. So I think it's good. I think it's gone well so far. Obviously, he can build a team a lot quicker than he did the first time that he was here. And now, you know, as this portal season winds down and the transfers are coming in, at some point we'll kind of stop, look around here and see what he's done.
Tony, how quickly do you think he can get what is a team chock full of transfers, at least this year, to come together and look like something?
Yeah, it's a good question, Paul. So the first time he came in, this is 2001, he inherited a Don Nehlen football team and did not have the right quarterback on hand to run what he wanted to run, and it certainly showed on the field. They won 3 games, but he turned it around in year number 2. This time around, you know, they being, you know, the guys on this staff, they feel that they have what they need to be capable at the quarterback position. So that's not going to be an obstacle like it was the last time around. The one thing, if you follow Rich through the years, is when he has his most success, he has to have players that he calls have breathtaking speed. And he has harped on that since he got here. You need to get faster on offense. We need to get faster on defense. You go back and you take a look at the guys that he's had. So Rasheed Marshall was a quarterback, the former Big East Conference Player of the Year. And then we went into Pat White, and we went to Steve Slayton, and we went to Darius Renaud, right? All of those guys were just way elite in the speed category. And, you know, Rasheed, Pat, Darius, and even Steve Slayton, and then even the fullback Owen Schmidt at that time, they all played in the NFL. So the short answer is this, as you guys well know, you got to have really good players. And in Rich's case, you got to have really good fast players. How long it takes for him to cultivate those and to grab those remains to be seen.
Tony, is at this point, could we make like a full, even balanced scrimmage between the players coming back from last year and the players that are coming in this year? I mean, is it like 40 to 45 at this point?
No, dude. No, it's the other way around. There's more new. There's more new than not new. And I was just looking at something with the latest commitments that they've gotten here in the last day or so. Right now, they're over the 105. But as you guys, I'm sure, have been talking about over the last several weeks, is it going to be 105 once this thing finally settles, or are we going to go back up and grandfather the thing in? Mm-hmm. But as of right now, it's 105. And I think, guys, you could potentially be close to between 75 and 80 newcomers that weren't on the team last year.
Tony Caridi, voice of West Virginia, with us on Rich Rodriguez and company. You know, the spring, everyone's wrapped that all up. And you're talking about those coming and going and all of that. In the end, most coaches are like on National Signing Day. They feel like they always got who they wanted. We know they never really do. Get that. Was there any inclination about how he felt knowing there were so many moving parts of what was accomplished?
So the thing on this, David, is you guys, right, follow every single day. Like in this new world, I think if you were told Rich 15 years ago that you're going to have 80 new guys on your team, that, you know, he might stroke out. He did this last year at Jacksonville State. He had, and I'm not saying that way, but he had an inordinate number of guys that were first-year players, and then a bunch that didn't come until like way after summer school had started, not even January guys. And so I think he's not flipped out about it. He's not freaked out about it. Would they wish right now that they had more depth? Would they wish that they had more overall speed? Yes. But at the same time, I get the gist that they're ready to put this thing together. Now, keep in mind, as you guys have well documented through the years, you know, West Virginia was one of the few schools in the country that was playing in its 3 non-conference games 2 Power 4 schools. Fortunately, that's gone. And so West Virginia goes Robert Morris, Ohio University, albeit it's on the road in Athens, Ohio, but nevertheless, and then you go Pitt here in Morgantown. And so from that perspective, at least you can get a couple of games right off the bat to kind of get your wits about you and get a little bit of a feel before you play, you know, the Pitt Panthers, and then you roll into the league. So I think on paper, it's a little bit more easy to digest than it has been in past years where they've opened on the road at Power 4 schools like in 4 of the last 5 years.
Some coaches, when asked about rivals, will, you know, oh, it's, you know, we just got to keep focused on the one game and coach speak it out. Rich Rodriguez took the different exit on that one and talked about how much of, you know, just being, you know, a lifelong Mountaineer, he hates Pitt, and like how, you know, that game is all wrapped up in it. How much was that something the fans kind of needed to hear, just him coming back and reinvigorating, because this is a very frustrated fan base right now, because I just got the feeling by talking to anybody from West Virginia, they felt they were like right there on the right road, just didn't know where to turn.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. So again, a little bit more of history for those that don't follow WVU as closely. For those that don't remember, you know, Rich's last ever game at West Virginia was one of the great upsets really in college football. And certainly in WVU school history. They lose 13-9 to Pitt, and that game and that loss on the final game of the regular season took them out of the national championship game. And so when Rich came back in, you know, rather than try to be evasive about it, he stuck his face straight into it. And ironically, guys, the final in that game was 13-9, and West Virginia will play Pitt this year on 9-13. So the football gods are sending a message here, and Rich said right from the beginning, let's go, let's play. And so it'll be one of the more built up, exhilarating leads to that West Virginia Pitt game. And as you guys know, that game is just an incredible history.
Tony, as someone you've been involved in college athletics for as long as you have as a broadcaster, but following college football, there was a story today about Texas, that with the $20.5 million settlement, and everybody has that opportunity to use it, but also on top of that, and they're not the only one. They get a lot of the attention. Could be $35 to $40 million. Asking if it's sustainable is a dumb question, because it's not. But do you feel like there's enough of those schools that could, to where one day they will have their own conference?
It's a great question. It's a fundamental question. My initial thought would be no. I don't think there's enough of them, enough of that level to break away and do their own thing. And we've talked about in the past, guys. I mean, the essence of college sports that we grew up loving was what? It was regional rivalry. And I think the farther away we go from that, it takes away from the interest level of fans, quite simply. You guys know this. You know, when we used to be able to watch a player develop and a team develop over the years and watch them as freshmen, sophomore, juniors, that was one of the big fun parts of it. And now basically we're just putting these teams together year in and year out. So to answer your question, no, I don't think there is. I think there's always going to be that super high level of schools that have those resources to be able to do that, but there's not enough. and I think that they have to have someone to play. And so I don't think that that we get to that point. I hope we don't get to that point, because I think this thing has become, crazy diluted as it is. I would hope that as these changes take place, that we finally get some sensibility in the non-football and basketball sports, and we regionalize. I think it can be done. And I think that it would benefit programs, it would benefit costs, and I think it would also improve the interest level of folks that follow these teams that aren't football and basketball.
Yeah, look, it even, I think, hurts in football and basketball a little bit, because, I think the Pac-12 saw it with Colorado and Oregon. It's like the biggest thing of, they're like, okay, they both have legal weed. Let's make that a rivalry, was kind of the the idea. And then they were like, yeah, I mean, we want to win the game, but, rivalry, I'd stop short of that. But I do agree with you, Tony. I think there's a really easy way to just make it regional. I mean, what conferences that people like. Just go back to that for the stuff that's not making all the money, and, call it a day on the other stuff. I think that's really reasonable.
I do. There's the bizarre nature of this stuff. The other day, or a couple weeks ago, I was doing my show, and we've got 4 screens in our studio when we do our show. And I'm looking up there, and it's like Friday. Might have even been Thursday. And I'm watching Oregon play at Rutgers in softball, and Oregon just 10-runned them. So the thing was done after 5 innings. And I'm thinking to myself, now you flew from Eugene, Oregon to New Jersey. You just 10-runned them. What are we doing? And on this side, this spring, WVU's got a really, really good soccer team that was played, national championship contender in each of the last 2 years. This spring, they did a thing called the Spring Soccer Classic. And in this general area, they got West Virginia, they got Pitt, they got Maryland, they got Duke, North Carolina, Virginia Tech. I think those 6 schools. And they played against each other, right? So that is the essence of what this thing is supposed to be. Why can't all of the other non-football, non-basketball schools do that? All these ADs ever talk about is trying to, save money. You can get super good competition right there without sending your kids away for 3 and 4 days at a time to play in these games. I think someone at some point has got to stand up and say, this is a better way to do that.
Speaking of baseball, wow. What,
how 35 about those Mountaineers, David? How about them?
35-5 the last time I glanced at the standings. They're starting to get a little bit more love in the top 25, and obviously will most likely host their opening round or whatever they in the playoffs. Give me an idea. What is that giving this your campus a little juice?
Oh, yeah. It's been fantastic. A couple of things. So several years back, they built a new stadium, and it's just gorgeously located and a great scenic view, 1. 2, Randy Mazey was the coach up until last year and did just a fantastic job of setting the foundation in this program over more than a decade. His assistant, Steve Sabins, took over. Now, in Randy's last year, they went to the Super Regional for the first time in school history. And Steve, who was centrally involved in all of the goings-on within the program over the last, several years, has not missed a beat. You mentioned, I think they are 35-5. They got a rivalry game tonight down in Charleston, West Virginia, end of a 3-game series for the year against Marshall. They play them in Huntington, Morgantown, and now in Charleston. And then they've got the Red Raiders of Texas Tech here this weekend. So, yeah, it's been an unbelievable season. They've already set a record for attendance. People are loving it. They're embracing it, and it's certainly been a lot of fun.
And yeah, they're pretty much right now. I don't want to jinx it, but pretty much a lock to host, wouldn't you say?
I hope. The RPI has not been kind to them during the course of the season, and when a couple of the ranking services haven't been either. But last time I checked, after they swept UCF this past weekend, they were at 15. So that's good. But, at this moment, you could make a case for these guys as a team of destiny. They've done some things that you're not supposed to do and still win games. How about this? They sweep UCF. They get out-hit in every game, and they had 1 hit in the Friday night game and still won the game. So they're living life well right now, and hopefully that can continue.
Of all the sports, football gets most of the attention, men's basketball, and then, of course, it just depends. But baseball is, to me, the best radio type broadcast as far as the sport. Which one do you prefer? Is that like asking?
So my canned question to that, my canned answer to that question is always this: I love the one that's in season. But you guys, and I truly do believe. I mean, I truly mean that. But they are so. I mean, the three among those three, they're absolutely so different, right? Football is an 8 to 10 second explosion of a play, and then you redo it. Basketball is just nonstop frenetic. And then baseball has its own speed of play. We had a game the other day, one of those UCF games. That thing went 4 hours and 43 minutes, which they probably need to fix some way. So to me, they're completely different. I don't. My son is the WVU baseball announcer. He does WVU baseball, WVU women's basketball, and so he does that. And it's just a slower delivery. But I haven't done it. I would like to do more. To be quite honest with you, I would. And I'm not jumping on the bandwagon just because they're good now. But I think there's a certain that's probably the hardest thing I think to announce. In my opinion, I think would be baseball because of the challenges that it gives you.
The pace of play. I mean,
and 4 hours and 40 minutes. Like, basketball game, like, hey, baby, we're out of here in 2 hours and 5 minutes. Everything is good. I mean, they're playing double what a basketball game is. It's really interesting.
That's why I really miss Vin Scully because man. Like it was like watching a guy like just walk up to a piano and start playing. And then he's just like, it's an orchestra every time, or a symphony. And with baseball, it's really hard to do that and have enough things and not repeat the same stories over and over again.
I always said this about Vin Scully among announcers. Like most of us are playing checkers, and there are very few elite guys that were chess players. And I mean, to me, Vin Scully was doing chess, and everyone else is trying to do checkers.
Yeah, the storytelling.
He's Boris Spassky.
Ball one. Yeah,
that's who he is.
I remember doing football, and then I had to do a JUCO basketball game, and man, I felt like I was on fire the whole time. Yeah, and especially, Tony, early in the year, because you got to learn the players. And now with the transfer portal, you got to do it 10 times as much. So
trust me, I go to a lot of practices, and when they start them together in June and then in September, because you're going like you got to learn your whole team. This is basketball has become TBT, right? The TBT that we have every summer.
Yeah.
These teams, that's all college basketball is. It just lasts for 6 months. That's what this thing has become. Like when a Baylor loses its entire roster, then there's something fundamentally wrong with what we're doing.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time, Tony.
Thank you, guys.
Voice of West Virginia Athletics, Tony Caridi, with us as year one, era two, part two of Rich Rodriguez, and also the Mountaineers.